Welcome to our Hong Kong Brief program. Today, we have some exciting updates for you. First up, Hong Kong stocks have seen a modest rise as investors are hopeful for increased policy support from Beijing, following some disappointing economic data from China. The Hang Seng Index and the Hang Seng Tech Index both made gains, showing a positive start to the trading day. Notably, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has reduced its stake in BYD, a Chinese EV maker, just ahead of new tariffs. In other news, starting September 23, trading on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange will continue even during typhoons and torrential rains. Chief Executive John Lee has accepted suggestions to scrap the current practice of halting trading during severe weather conditions, aligning Hong Kong's bourse with global standards. This change aims to ensure market stability and continuous trading regardless of weather disruptions. Lastly, a journalist who took the inaugural high-speed sleeper train from Hong Kong to Beijing has lauded the train's food delivery service. Passengers can now order food via an app before departure and have it delivered directly to their seat. This efficient service has been praised for its organization and convenience, adding a new level of comfort to train travel. Estimates suggest the Chinese food delivery market will be worth 1.5 trillion Chinese yuan by 2023. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong stocks inched higher on Tuesday as investors anticipated more policy support from Beijing in light of China's lackluster economic data and ongoing trade tensions with the European Union. The Hang Seng Index climbed 0.2% to 17,979.80 by 10 a.m. local time, while the Hang Seng Tech Index gained 0.6% and the Shanghai Composite Index rose 0.5%. Despite disappointing credit and property investment figures, the People's Bank of China, PBOC, maintained the one-year medium-term lending facility rate, prompting calls for increased economic support. Economist Carlos Casanova from UBP suggested that PBOC might need to ramp up policy measures in the latter half of 2024, potentially through reserve ratio requirement cuts and expanded home purchasing programs. The market showed cautious optimism as China began an anti-dumping probe into certain EU pork products, following the EU's decision to raise tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Notably, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway reduced its stake in BYD, a Chinese EV maker, just before the tariff changes. Meanwhile, Zijin Mining Group saw a 2.2% drop in shares due to anticipated convertible bond sales, and Wuhan Yuji Holdings soared 80% on its trading debut. Other Asian markets also saw gains, with Japan's Nikkei 225 up 1% and South Korea's Kospi adding 0.9%. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee Ka-chiu announced that starting from September 23, the city's stock exchange will no longer halt trading during typhoons or torrential rains, a practice that has been in place for decades. This change aligns Hong Kong with global stock exchanges, including those in Shenzhen and Shanghai, which do not suspend trading for severe weather. The decision reflects a modernization effort to keep the financial hub running smoothly despite adverse weather conditions. The new policy is expected to enhance the resilience and reliability of the Hong Kong exchanges and clearing, HKEX, ensuring continuous market operations and minimizing disruptions for investors and traders. South China Morning Post. Boarding the inaugural high-speed sleeper train from Hong Kong to Beijing was an exhilarating experience, but the real highlight was the onboard dining service. Upon embarking on the D910 sleeper train, the extensive menu in the dining carriage, featuring dishes from spicy chicken rice to stir-fried beef, catered to a variety of tastes during the 12-and-a-half-hour journey. However, the true culinary delight was discovered on the return trip aboard the G79 high-speed all-seater train. Passengers could order meals via the 12305 app or WeChat mini programs, with hot dishes delivered directly to their seats at designated stops. The efficiency of the service was remarkable, as witnessed when delivery workers swiftly handed over orders at station platforms. The convenience and quality of the food, such as Wuhan's signature hot dry noodles and cold milk tea from Changsha, highlighted the impressive integration of technology and logistics in China's food delivery market, which reached a value of 1.5 trillion yuan in 2023. The seamless dining experience on the train, unmatched by in-flight meals, showcased the innovative strides in catering to passengers' needs on the go. South China Morning Post reports that the Hong Kong Export Credit Insurance Corp. (ECIC) has launched a new insurance cover for trade loans provided by the fintech startup FundPark, aimed at supporting the city's burgeoning e-commerce sector. This collaboration, which includes French reinsurer SCOR, will help mitigate the credit risks faced by FundPark, thereby encouraging more loans to online merchants in Hong Kong. ESIC Commissioner Terence Chiu Man-chung emphasized that this is the first credit trade insurance based on alternative data to assist Hong Kong-based e-commerce SMEs. Established in 1966, ESIC can offer up to 80 billion Hong Kong dollars in insurance cover for local exporters against risks like payment defaults. FundPark, co-founded by Anson Soon Wai, uses an AI-driven credit model to assess borrowers and has disbursed $2.5 billion in loans to nearly 17,000 SMEs since its inception. The new insurance and funding model is expected to help e-commerce merchants in Hong Kong continue to grow, with FundPark aiming to expand its loan book to over $10 billion in the coming years. South China Morning Post also highlights the journey of Hong Kong starlet Yanni-Chan Yinman, who has transferred to Iona to play Division I women's basketball after 3 years at Emmanuel College in Boston. Chan, motivated by a desire to challenge herself and prove that a Hong Kong girl can compete at the highest level, chose Iona over Marist College after visiting New Rochelle and connecting with head coach Angelica Sumolo. Majoring in sports management at Emmanuel, Chan will switch to business administration at Iona, where she can transfer over 90% of her credits and eventually earn an MBA. Named last year's Women's Player of the Year in the Great Northeast Athletic Conference, Chan dreams of playing against UConn's star point guard Paige Buchers. Despite the challenges, including adapting to the intensity and longer season of Division I basketball, Chan is determined to lead her new team into the NCAA tournament, embodying both athletic and academic ambition. In another feature by South China Morning Post, Byron Mann discusses his latest film, The Modelizer, which he describes as a love letter to Hong Kong. Known for his roles in Wu Assassins, Dark Asset, and Street Fighter, Mann takes on a different kind of role as Sean Koo, a hedonistic playboy who falls for a model, challenging his egocentric ways. Speaking from Los Angeles, Mann shares how the film, shot entirely in Hong Kong, came to be. The idea was inspired by a conversation with a friend who dated different foreign models weekly, revealing a fascinating subculture of wealthy Chinese tycoons and foreign models in Hong Kong. Mann, who grew up in Kowloon Tong and trained in martial arts under renowned Hong Kong action directors, wanted to showcase Hong Kong's cosmopolitanism beyond the typical kung fu films. Despite distribution delays due to the pandemic, The Modelizer is available on Apple TV and Google Play Movies, offering a fresh perspective on the diverse stories within Hong Kong. Washington Post. Manila, amid a historic heat wave in the Philippines, the country's overcrowded jails and prisons have become unbearable, with temperatures soaring past 122 degrees. Thousands of inmates have suffered from boils, rashes, and skin diseases, prompting authorities to scramble for solutions. Overcrowding, a result of Rodrigo Duterte's aggressive anti-drug campaign, has made Philippine detention facilities the fourth most congested in the world. In Muntinlupa City, nearly 900 inmates are crammed into a facility built for just 41 people. To mitigate the heat, some inmates are allowed to sleep on a roof deck. the Philippine Supreme Court has ordered judges to visit jails to assess the impact of the heat wave on inmates. Extreme heat is a global issue, affecting incarcerated populations disproportionately. In the U.S., hazardous heat days have increased in nearly 45% of detention facilities, while in Cambodia and Hong Kong, the conditions have been likened to torture. In the Philippines, the heat index has reached record levels, causing unrest among inmates and highlighting the urgent need for long-term solutions such as policy changes and better ventilation. South China Morning Post. Macau is leveraging its status as a city of gastronomy recognized by UNESCO to attract gourmets and diversify its economy away from gambling. The Macau Government Tourism Office, MGTO, plans to organize events showcasing the city's culinary offerings, from street food to fine dining. Director Maria Helena de Sena Fernandez emphasized the potential for collaboration with community associations to create engaging events that highlight local culture. Macau's focus on food aims to enhance its attractiveness and competitiveness as a tourism destination. The city has mandated its 6 gambling concessionaires to invest over 100 billion patakas in non-gambling attractions, including arenas for conventions, concerts, and sports events. The International Cities of Gastronomy Fest Macau, running from June 14 to June 23, features a revived forum that discusses the role of creative gastronomy in urban development. Post-pandemic, Macau has seen a shift in tourism trends, with fewer group tours and a younger, more adventurous audience seeking personalized experiences. Gastronomy is a key part of Macau's tourism strategy, reinforcing its position as a global metropolis. BBC. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg has called for consequences for China if it continues to support Russia's war in Ukraine. In an interview with the BBC, Stoltenberg criticized Beijing for trying to maintain relationships with European allies while aiding Russia's war effort, particularly through the sharing of critical technologies. He suggested that economic sanctions could be considered if China does not alter its behavior. Stoltenberg's remarks come as Russia remains unyielding in its war against Ukraine, dismissing recent peace summit efforts. The NATO chief highlighted Russia's growing alignment with authoritarian regimes, including Iran, North Korea, and China. North Korea has reportedly supplied artillery shells to Russia in exchange for advanced missile and nuclear technology. Stoltenberg also announced that over 20 nations are expected to meet a defense spending target of 2% this year, the highest since the pledge was made in 2014. Addressing concerns about NATO's nuclear capabilities, Stoltenberg reiterated that NATO's purpose is to prevent war, not fight it, and any attack on a member would trigger a collective response. Nikkei Asia. Asia-Pacific is taking significant strides in sustainability disclosure, with Hong Kong's Financial Secretary Paul Chan announcing new rules for listed companies and financial institutions. These standards, aligned with the International Sustainability Standards Board, aim to provide clear and consistent information about companies' sustainability practices. Singapore is also set to implement mandatory climate-related reporting for listed companies by next year, with similar requirements for large non-listed companies by 2027. Australia and mainland China are following suit with their own disclosure mandates. Despite these regulatory advancements, an EY survey revealed that only 21% of business leaders in the region consider climate change a key concern, prioritizing economic conditions and technological advancements instead. However, another survey of chief executives showed a higher prioritization of decarbonization and net zero goals. The cost of achieving climate commitments remains a significant concern for many companies, leading some to scale back their efforts. The diversity of Asian rules and frameworks presents a unique opportunity for the region to lead in sustainable finance, especially as other regions, like the US and EU, face delays and challenges in their ESG reporting initiatives. Asia-Pacific businesses must seize this moment to maintain their leadership in addressing the climate crisis, shaping global corporate governance, and paving the way for a sustainable future. Associated Press, Lauren Doyle and Alev Kelter are set to represent the United States in their third Olympics, aiming to secure the nation's first Rugby Sevens medal in Paris. Both athletes were part of the squads that finished fifth in Rio 2016 and sixth in Tokyo 2021. Doyle, along with Nia Tapper, will co-captain the 12-women roster, which includes several experienced Olympians. Coach Emily Bidwell expressed confidence in the team's synergy and potential to inspire American fans. The U.S. women's team finished fifth overall in the recent World Series, reaching 3 semifinals and the final in Hong Kong. Despite strong performances, they faced tough competition from reigning Olympic champions New Zealand and Australia. The U.S. men's team historically won Olympic gold in the 15s version in 1920 and 1924, but Rugby Sevens, a faster variant, was only introduced in 2016. As the team prepares for their training camp in Tours, France, they aim to not only compete but also to advance the legacy of American rugby. The 3-day Olympic competition at Stade de France will commence on July 28, following the men's events. Yahoo US, K-pop sensation, IDLE is set to make a grand return to the US, elevating their presence from theaters to arenas for their 2024 North American tour titled 2024 IDLE World Tour, IDLE, in the US. The tour kicks off in September in Tacoma, Washington, and includes stops in major cities like Oakland, Anaheim, Houston, Rosemont, and Belmont Park, New York. Fans, known as Neverland, can expect high-energy performances featuring new tracks from their second full-length album alongside hits like Tomboy and Queen Card. While no opening acts have been announced, the group's dynamic stage presence is sure to captivate audiences. Pre-sale registration is currently open, with tickets going on sale to the general public on June 21. Fans can also find tickets for sold-out shows through StubHub, where purchases are protected by the Fan Protect program. The Independent, Nigel Farage has made a bold declaration of his intent to become the UK Prime Minister after the 2029 election, launching Reform UK's manifesto aimed at disillusioned Tory voters. The manifesto, dubbed a contract with the people, includes controversial policies such as halting non-essential immigration, abandoning net zero targets, and exiting the European Convention on Human Rights. Farage's pledges have drawn criticism for their impracticality and potential environmental harm. Economists and climate experts have dismissed the manifesto as unrealistic, with the Institute for Fiscal Studies highlighting significant discrepancies in the proposed budget. Despite this, a recent poll shows Reform UK level with the Tories at 18%, though still trailing Labour's 43%. Farage's campaign, marked by radical economic and educational reforms, aims to position Reform UK as the primary opposition to Labour, with Farage himself standing in Clacton and promising a shake-up in British politics. Telegraph, former Labour Minister Barry Gardiner has suggested that MI5's alert about alleged Chinese spy Christine Lee was a strategic move to divert attention from Boris Johnson's Partygate scandal. Lee, who donated over £500,000 to Gardiner and was involved in the Chinese in Britain All-Party Parliamentary Group, is suing MI5 for issuing the alert, claiming it was unlawful and violated her human rights. The alert, released a day after Johnson's apology for breaching COVID lockdown rules, accused Lee of political interference on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party. Gardiner's text messages revealed his skepticism about the timing and motives behind the alert. The tribunal heard arguments that the alert had devastating personal and professional consequences for Lee and her son, who lost his job with Gardiner. MI5 maintains that the alert was a necessary and lawful measure to protect national security, with the case's outcome pending a written judgment. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Morning coffee, fresh off the press. Reading headlines, feeling blessed. World keeps turning, stories unfold. Every moment news gets told. Flipping channels, clicking tabs. Feeding my mind's hunger grabs. Facts and figures, images bright. News keeps rolling day and night. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories are full. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Politics, science, sports, and art. Every story plays its part. Global voices near. Every headline loud and clear. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dawn. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories are full. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dawn. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough.